Imagine walking up to someone on the street and just handing over a huge chunk of your life savings.
Okay.
And in return, they don't give you a product. They don't, provide a service. They don't even say thank you.
Wow.
Instead, they just make you feel absolutely exhausted, mildly guilty, and, well, slightly worse about yourself than you did before.
Yeah, you would probably call the police. I mean, you certainly would never make that trade again.
Right, never. Yet we make this exact transaction every single day, not with our money, but with something infinitely more valuable.
I do it with our time.
Exactly.
And, the underlying psychology of why we do this is fascinating because we often don't even realize the transaction is happening until the currency is completely gone.
Yeah, totally.
We just reach the end of the day and wonder why our battery is drained when it feels like, we haven't actually moved forward at all.
That is the exact feeling we are dismantling on today's deep dive. So if you've ever looked at the clock at like 8 p.m. and thought, I was busy for 16 hours straight, but my actual goals haven't moved an inch, this one is for you.
It's a very universal feeling.
It really is. Today, we are pulling some incredible insights from an episode of the English Leap podcast. It's titled Don't Waste Your Life, and it features hosts Anna and Jake. And they tackle this modern sense of time scarcity.
What stands out about their approach is that it doesn't demand you completely overhaul your personality.
Right, yeah.
They aren't telling you to wake up at 3 a.m., take ice baths, and, color code your entire calendar.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. It's a much more profound shift in perspective. It's moving from a mindset of time scarcity to one of time protection.
Okay, time protection, I like that.
It's the realization that you likely have enough time to, say, learn that language or build that skill or prep for that meeting. It's just currently being siphoned away in broad daylight. Siphoned away. Yeah. Anna and Jake lay down a pretty stark philosophy right out of the gate. They say that wasting your time is quite literally wasting your life.
It's a bold statement.
It is. And they use this vivid analogy of a water bottle. Basically, your life is the water inside the bottle. It's a finite, measurable amount.
Right.
If you carelessly pour it onto the floor, you can't just scoop it back up later when you're thirsty. It's absorbed. It's gone forever.
It's a sobering visual, but it really cuts through the abstraction. I mean, time is the only truly non-renewable resource we possess.
Exactly.
You could lose all your money and earn it back, but you cannot earn back yesterday. But the nuance here is that we rarely just pour the water out intentionally.
Why not just dump it?
No, we are usually victims of a very specific environmental trap they call the time thief.
The time thief. Which, sounds a bit like a villain in a Saturday morning cartoon.
It does a bit, yeah. But in reality, it's the environment we live in. It's the endless social media feeds, the auto-playing videos, the mindless scrolling that just eats the hours of our day.
And if we look closely at the mechanics of a time thief, it operates almost entirely on the illusion of briefness.
The illusion of briefness.
Yeah, these platforms are engineered by behavioral psychologists to hijack our brain's dopamine system. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It's the molecule of motivation and anticipation.
Okay.
So when you open a social media app, your brain anticipates a reward.
Yeah.
Maybe a funny video, maybe an interesting piece of news, or, a notification.
So your brain is literally like chemically rewarding you just for seeking out the distraction.
Exactly. And the crucial mechanism is intermittent reinforcement. It's the exact same psychology as a slot machine.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes the next video is hilarious, and sometimes it's incredibly boring. Because you never know when the next big dopamine hit is coming, your brain enters a compulsive loop.
So you just keep pulling the lever.
Right. It tricks your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical, long-term planning part of your brain, into thinking it's only taking a tiny, harmless sip from your water bottle.
Anna shares a story on the English Leap podcast that, it perfectly illustrates this trap.
Oh, the break story.
Yeah, the break story. She describes a moment where she'd been working hard, her brain felt a bit fried, and she decided to take a simple, well-deserved 10-minute break.
We've all been there.
We have.
Mm-hmm.
So she sits on the sofa, opens her phone, and watches one funny video. Feels good. Then another one autoplays. And she whispers that incredibly dangerous lie we all tell ourselves.
Just one more.
Just one more.
Yeah, that phrase is the universal signal that the logical brain has relinquished control to the dopamine loop.
And suddenly she snaps out of it, checks the clock, and an hour and 15 minutes had completely vanished. Just slipped away like sand.
Wow.
A 10-minute break turned into a massive chunk of her afternoon. But the kicker here is the emotional aftermath. After losing all that time to a screen, she didn't feel rested or rejuvenated at all.
No, of course not. What's fascinating here is that she actually felt empty, deeply guilty, and honestly more physically tired than before she started her quote-unquote break.
Which brings us right back to that opening analogy about the terrible financial transaction.
Exactly. Because when you spend an hour and 15 minutes doom scrolling, your visual cortex and your emotional centers are highly active. They're constantly processing new stimuli every few seconds.
So it's exhausting.
It is neurologically exhausting. By the time the logical brain regains control and realizes the currency has been spent, the dopamine crashes. And that leaves you with that distinct feeling of guilt and fatigue.
You paid a massive price in time, and all you got in return was a drained battery.
Precisely.
So how do we build a defense mechanism? I mean, if these thieves are literally engineered by billionaires to hijack our neurochemistry the second we sit on the sofa, how do we protect our water bottle?
Well, the defense mechanism involves a fundamental shift. It's moving from a state of passive wandering to a state of being highly intentional.
Highly intent.
Yes. Time thieves prey on ambiguity. When you don't have a specific plan for your attention, your brain naturally defaults to the path of least resistance.
And right now, that's a screen.
Always a screen. To stop wandering, you have to dictate where your attention goes on purpose, not by accident.
Okay, let's unpack this with the analogy they use here, which is a car's GPS.
Yeah, it's a great metaphor.
It really is. If you get into your car and you don't type a specific destination into the navigation system, you can technically drive anywhere.
Right.
But what actually happens, you drive around in circles, you burn gas, you deal with traffic, and you end up nowhere.
Exactly.
So the countermeasure is setting what they call a tiny plan. It's the exact GPS coordinates for your daily goals.
The distinction between a vague goal and a tiny plan is where behavioral science really shines. Let's look at the psychology of cognitive friction.
Okay.
If you wake up and say, I am going to improve my Spanish today, or I will get healthier, your brain perceives a massive amount of friction.
Because it's too big.
Because those tasks are abstract. They require executive function to figure out where to start, what materials to use, and, what success actually looks like.
And because it requires so much mental effort just to figure out the starting line, the brain goes, well, it's much easier looking at Instagram.
Precisely. The friction of the vague goal is too high, so the time thief wins by default.
That makes so much sense.
Right. But a tiny plan completely removes that friction. Instead of, I will improve my Spanish, the tiny plan is, I will learn 3 new Spanish vocabulary words related to travel.
Got it. It provides a hyper-specific GPS coordinate.
Exactly. The brain knows exactly what victory looks like.
The tiny aspect of the tiny plan seems to be the real secret weapon here. Like, Jake shares his own experience with this, and it's something I think everyone listening has done.
Oh, the language learning goal.
Yeah. He started learning a new language
Yeah.
and made this grand, noble promise to himself. He was going to study for 1 solid hour every single day.
And we culturally applaud that kind of ambition, right? But from a habit formation perspective, it's a recipe for failure.
Really?
Yeah, an hour-long commitment is a massive barrier to entry. On a great day, when you are fully rested and highly motivated, sure, you might clear that barrier.
Right.
But on a Tuesday evening, when you are just exhausted from work, a 1-hour study session looks like an unclimbable mountain.
So he naturally ended up skipping days. And skipping days brought on that same guilt and shame we just talked about.
Because the mountain was too big.
Right. So he recalibrated the GPS. He changed the plan from 1 hour a day to just 10 minutes a day.
Lowering the barrier to entry neutralizes the brain's resistance. I mean, even on your absolute worst, most exhausting day, you can convince yourself to do something for 10 minutes.
Yeah, anyone has 10 minutes.
It is a promise that is incredibly easy to keep.
And I imagine that once you get over that initial hump, once you actually sit down and start for those 10 minutes,
Right.
the momentum probably carries you forward anyway.
Often, yes. Isaac Newton's first law of motion applies to human behavior, too. An object at rest stays at rest, but an object in motion stays in motion.
Oh, I love that.
Once you cross the starting line, the friction drops to near zero. You might end up studying for 30 or 40 minutes.
Wow.
But psychologically, the commitment itself must remain tiny so that you never fear starting in the first place. You build a streak of kept promises to yourself, which generates a genuine sense of pride rather than guilt.
Okay, that makes total sense for building momentum. But let me pause and ask a very practical, real-world question here.
Sure.
If I look at my schedule, and I'm sure many of you listening are in the exact same boat, I might not even have a guaranteed uninterrupted 10-minute block.
Right.
Between back-to-back meetings, commuting, picking up kids, making dinner, I mean, my day is packed wall to wall. Does this entire system fall apart if you literally can't find 10 free minutes on your calendar?
That is the ultimate stress test for any time management philosophy. But this is exactly where Anna and Jake introduce the most powerful concept of the entire discussion: pocket time.
Here's where it gets really interesting. To explain pocket time, they ask us to visualize time as coins in our pocket.
Okay.
We have big coins, which represent those solid, uninterrupted one-hour blocks of time. Now, if you were a busy professional or a parent, you probably don't have very many big coins lying around.
No, your schedule has already spent them.
Exactly.
But wealth in this system isn't just about big coins.
No.
We all possess a vast, often ignored fortune in small coins.
Small coins?
Yeah. These are the 5-minute, 7-minute, and 10-minute gaps that are just naturally stitched into the fabric of a normal day.
Like waiting for the elevator,
Yes.
sitting in the back of a ride chair, standing in line while the barista makes your coffee, waiting for the water to boil on the stove. Those micro moments.
And the behavioral data on what we do during those micro moments is universally consistent.
Let me guess. Social media.
The vast majority of people take those small coins and throw them straight into the trash. They pull out their phones, open a social app, and hand that pocket time directly over to the time thieves.
Because it doesn't feel like real time. Like 5 minutes feels completely insignificant, so we assume it has no value.
Exactly. But the argument here is that if you intentionally click these small coins and invest them using your tiny GPS plan, the cumulative advantage is staggering.
Just massive returns.
Right. Small, consistent investments yield exponential returns over time. The English Leap podcast highlights a brilliant case study of a busy working mother to prove this.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, she had 2 kids and a highly demanding job. If you audited her calendar, she had 0 big coins. There was not a single hour available for her to sit down at a desk and study.
0.
Yeah.
But she realized she was secretly wealthy in small coins.
Yes.
So she started deploying her pocket time. She used 5 minutes while walking to the bus stop to mentally review vocabulary. She used 10 minutes during her lunch break to listen to an educational podcast. She used 7 minutes right before turning out the lights to read a few paragraphs.
She essentially hijacked her own routine. She didn't create new time. She repurposed the transitional moments she was already experiencing.
Which is so smart.
And if you tie this to the science of learning, spaced repetition, which is reviewing material in short bursts over time, is actually far more effective for memory retention than cramming for an hour straight.
And it added up to 22 minutes a day. Which, doesn't sound like much until you multiply it out over a month.
Exactly.
Within a few months of consistently investing those small coins, her skills dramatically improved. It completely dismantles the "I don't have time" excuse.
It really does.
It reminds me of the concept of finding loose change in your couch cushions.
Oh, yeah.
If you find a quarter today, it's nothing. You can't even buy a piece of gum with a quarter anymore.
Very.
But if you check the couch cushions every single day and you drop that change into a jar, eventually you look at the jar and realize you have enough to buy a plane ticket.
Yeah.
You literally funded a vacation with money that was just hiding in the background of your life.
That's a perfect analogy. The currency is already in your pocket. The differentiator is simply whether you choose to collect it or discard it.
So true.
When you attach a tiny plan like learning 3 new words to a small coin, like waiting for the train, you are systematically building that treasure trove without needing to find an extra hour in your day.
Wait, okay. But if I'm squeezing productivity out of every single time I wait for an elevator or, stand at a crosswalk, am I just going to burn out by Friday? Because hustle culture pushes this idea that every second of existence must be optimized and monetized. And honestly, that sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting, and it's a critical distinction to make. It's one that Anna and Jake address head on. There is a massive difference between intentional optimization and toxic productivity. If we connect this to the bigger picture of the neurobiology of human performance, true rest is never a waste of time. It is a biological imperative.
I know it's a bit of a cliche to compare human beings to smartphones, but Jake makes a really vital distinction here with the battery analogy.
It is a cliche, but it highlights a profound hypocrisy in how we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we would never let our smartphones hit 1% without panicking. We obsessively monitor the battery icon, we carry portable chargers, we ensure it's plugged in every night.
Guilty.
Right. Yet, we regularly expect our brains to run complex, demanding software on absolutely zero charge.
We really do treat our electronics with more care than our own nervous systems.
Oh, 100%.
When you use your phone all day for calls, navigation, and streaming, the battery drains. If you don't physically plug it into the wall, it dies. Human beings operate on the exact same principles of energetic discharge and recharge.
Yes. And true rest, which means high-quality sleep, genuine quiet time without digital stimulation, or honestly, simply sitting on a park bench doing nothing, is the human equivalent of plugging into the wall.
Just doing nothing.
Yes. When you rest, your brain activates the default mode network. That's when you're consolidating memories and making creative connections. You cannot operate efficiently if you are in a constant state of discharge.
Jake shares a story from his own life that proves how counterproductive it is to work on a dead battery.
Oh, the late night project.
The late night project. He was working on something late at night. His internal battery was deep in the red zone, but he tried to brute force his way through it.
We've all done that too.
We have. He sat there for 2 agonizing hours trying to get this work done, and the result,
The work was terrible.
it was terrible. It was a complete waste of 2 hours of his life.
Because his cognitive processing speed was severely compromised. He was trying to force a drained prefrontal cortex to perform high-level executive functions.
So he finally gives up, goes to sleep, and charges his human battery. The next morning, he wakes up, sits down at the same desk to do the exact same project, and he knocks it out in 30 minutes.
Wow.
And the quality was infinitely better.
Reframing rest from being a break from productivity to being a strategic productivity tool itself is a game changer.
A strategic productivity tool.
Yes. Resting is smarter than pushing. By taking the time to charge his battery, he saved himself an hour and a half of struggling. It proves that time spent resting prepares you to use your active time far more efficiently.
It's all about intentional balance then.
Yeah.
The philosophy here isn't to turn yourself into a machine that monetizes every gap in your schedule.
Not at all.
It's to ensure that when you are working, you are actually working. When you are using your pocket time to learn, you are actually learning. And when you are resting, you are fiercely protecting that rest from the time thieves. So what does this all mean? If we synthesize all of this, the application for you listening becomes very clear. First, visualize the water bottle. Recognize that your time is finite and irreversible.
Yep.
Second, spot the time thieves. Understand the dopamine loops they use to drain your time under the illusion of briefness.
Third, eliminate the friction of vague goals by setting a tiny GPS plan. Make the barrier to entry so low that you can't possibly fail.
Right. And fourth, start collecting your small coins. Find the pocket time that is already hiding in your daily routine and intentionally invest it.
And finally, ditch the guilt around rest. Plugging yourself into the wall to recharge your battery is the smartest investment you can make in your own capacity.
Absolutely.
The challenge for you today is incredibly simple. Identify just one time thief in your routine. Maybe it's checking social media the exact moment you wake up.
Oh, that's a big one.
Right. Identify that thief and replace it with one tiny 5-minute investment using your pocket time.
It's amazing how a 5-minute shift can fundamentally change the trajectory of your entire day.
It really does. And this raises an important question to leave you mulling over.
Okay.
If time is truly the ultimate currency, more valuable than money because it can never be replenished, and major corporations are spending billions of dollars engineering algorithms specifically to steal your pocket time coins, who is actually getting rich off your distraction?
Wow. What happens when you decide to stop handing over your currency to them?
Exactly.
Reclaiming those 5-minute coins isn't just about learning a few extra vocabulary words or becoming slightly more productive. It is a fundamental act of taking back control over your own life.
Well said.
We aren't actually running out of time. The coins are right there in your pocket. You just have to decide who gets to spend them. Keep an eye out for those time thieves, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.